Hello everyone, Sniggity here. Thanks for joining me for this special 500 subscriber Q&A video. As you may recall, I asked you guys to submit questions, so I'm gonna answer them. But first, I require aid of a special guest to read the questions. Gerald! Gerald!
Huh?
I require use of your deadpan sarcasm most of your viewers never seem to understand.
Snickety? Where's your voice coming from?
Through the magic of video editing, duh.
What do you need?
I need you to read some questions for a Q&A video.
Q&A?
Sachi's busy doing the work I'm too lazy to do.
Alright, I can probably help you with that. Let's get undone. Gerald Undone. He's crazy. Alright, Snickety, your first question comes from Candy Rot, who asks, what are your top 3 favorite game genres? And what are your bottom 3 least favorite game genres?
I guess it would have to be JRPGs, visual novels, and I don't know what to put for a third one. Let's go with survival horror. As for my bottom 3 genres, that might be harder because there's a lot of games I'm not a fan of. I like the idea of shmups, but I'm terrible at them, so I guess that's on there. I want to put first-person shooters on there, but there's some I like. So let's just say military shooters. The last one would be MMOs. Every time I've played one, it feels like I'm wasting my time and not getting anything out of the experience. Also, other people watching me suck makes me nervous. Thanks for the question, Kandriad.
Your next question comes from Spock, who says, who is your ultimate waifu, Snickety? And Sachi, who is your ultimate husbando?
I would think that one is pretty obvious by now. The floofy-haired angel herself. Just gaze upon this perfection. Wait a minute, did you ask Sachi a question? That's like going to a Comic-Con panel and asking the janitor a question. Oh well, what's your answer, Sachi?
What's a husbando? I don't know what that is.
It's kind of like a crush on a fictional anime character. The male equivalent of waifu.
Oh, then I would go with Jeff Goldblum.
What? That's not an anime character.
He isn't?
Anyway, thanks for the question, Spooky.
Yeah. Oh, can you hold on a second? The next question, Snickety, is from Chewed Gum Gene Pool, who says, so, do you like Sonic? Yeah. No, just pepperoni, no crust.
I do! I grew up with a lot of Sonic stuff. I was basically Sammy Classic Sonic when I was a kid. It's a good job YouTube wasn't around at that time. But yeah, I had my own fan website and everything. If you're wondering what my favourite version of Sonic is, it's definitely Jaheel White from the cartoons. He's also asking you, Sachi. What about you? Do you like Sonic?
No, but I like Mario.
Get out.
Butts Out for Spartacus asks, what's the first video game you ever played?
I'm actually not sure if I can remember. It's probably Sonic 2 on Mega Drive since that was the first game I actually owned, but I don't know. I may have played something sooner and just don't remember.
We got a good question here from Yam, who asks, at SnicketySlice, why so British, faggot?
How rude. But I guess the answer would be because I am. I don't know.
Mojito Jar asks, what would you say are your top 5 favorite games of all time?
Nights into Dreams, Devil Survivor 2, Star Fox 64, Tsukihime, the token visual novel choice. And finally I want to say Persona 5, but I think that's still too early to say. So I'll just go with all of the Persona games. Thanks for asking, Mojo.
The next question comes from Thai Food Shart, who says, what made you start making videos? Also, why are you so cool?
I started making game reviews because it was something I really wanted to try for a long time. I just never got around to it until last year. As for why I started making videos in general, that's just something I've always done. I need to be doing something creative or else I just feel like I'm being lazy. But that last part is interesting because I'm not cool at all. Have you seen my videos, Tiger Shark? I have an anime librarian sidekick. That's pretty nerdy.
Sean from @BoogerSoreAss asks, would you rather painlessly be shot point blank in the knee and lose use of it? Or painfully shot point blank in the knee and retain use?
Well, I guess I would want to retain use of my leg even if it means going through some nasty pain. So I choose that one.
Hysterectomy Nerd wants to know, what motivated you to start doing YouTube?
As I already mentioned, it was something I wanted to do for a while. Game reviews is a genre of video I watched quite a lot as a teenager. We're going back to like 2008, 2009 here. I watched stuff like AVGN, Spoonie One, all that kind of stuff. I guess I wanted to do something similar with my own voice attached. Because what you're seeing in these videos is 100% me. The kind of silly jokes that make me laugh, the obscure references I make, the things I value in video games, what I dislike about them, etc. My motivation was to create my own show that I would enjoy. Whether other people will enjoy that, I have no idea, but some of you seem to, so that's pretty good.
Saturn Memories asks, what is your favorite game console, and why is it the Sega Saturn? Bit presumptuous.
Because it has knights, duh. Actually, my favorite game console is probably the PS2, and that comes down to how large and awesome its game library is. But I do enjoy the Sega Saturn very much. I even have some reviews planned on Saturn games pretty soon, so stay tuned.
Stick It In Ya asks, how do you start playing the Persona series? How did it grab you? What are your thoughts on Western RPGs? And this one is for Sachi. Why were you mute up until a few weeks? What were you hiding?
I started playing Persona about 5 years ago, I think. At the time I had been meaning to play Persona 4 for a long time because I hadn't heard so much about it. But the PS Vita re-release was still a few months away, so I decided to start from the beginning, which was Shin Megami Tensei Persona, the PSP version. What really grabbed me about this is its modern setting. I'm not a huge fan of fantasy settings in RPGs, they tend to make it very hard for me to relate or care about the characters or what's going on. But with Persona, everyone starts out as normal high school students. So I played that game, I loved it, and then I played 4 and 3 and loved those even more. As for my thoughts on Western RPGs, I haven't played many. I played Mass Effect. It was okay, I guess. But I felt it was just a huge knockoff of this series Babylon 5, which I really loved. I only really played the first one though. I tend to like my games somewhat linear, and Western RPGs give you these massive open worlds to explore. I get why people like that, but it's not really my thing. But yeah, they just don't appeal to me that much, so I haven't played too many of them. And hey, that's a good question actually, why were you mute until a few weeks ago?
Huh? But I wasn't. I made a visual novel text sound. It sounded something like this.
But why didn't you say words like you're doing now?
I was afraid people wouldn't like my voice.
Oh, fair enough.
Loser123 wants to know, dude, do you write a script first and then record gameplay and then try to match them up in the editing?
Nope, the first thing I do is play through the game and record the entire thing. After that's done, I use the notes I've made to write the script. That way when I write the script, I know what I have recorded. It would suck if I wrote something and was unable to recreate it in the footage. I don't think anyone writes the scripts before playing the game, to be honest. The only way I could see that working is if you were really familiar with the game, or if the footage didn't have much relevance to what you were saying. I know some YouTubers like to put in filler gameplay while they speak. I'm not a fan of that, and I'll tell you why. When you have audio and visuals, the brain will always try to find meaning between the two. So I find when I'm watching someone talk about, I don't know, let's say microtransactions, and the footage on screen is unrelated Call of Duty footage or something, my brain will try to relate those two things in some way. Obviously there is none, and that always frustrates me. Not sure if other people feel the same way though. But anyway, I try to use the video to complement the audio. It creates a much more satisfying watching experience. Wow, this was a long ramble for such a simple question, but no, I record the gameplay first.
Enron Alcatraz asks, what is the origin of your username?
I stole it from Escaflowne abridged by HBI 2K.
I, Von Fennell, have completed the task of dragon slaying. He was all like, grrr, whoosh, and I was all like, no way, and then I went, SnicketySlice, and I cut out his heart. Wow, that sounds badass.
Yeah, I'm not that original. I used it as my PSN name long before it became my YouTube name though. I didn't really foresee how important to my channel branding it would become. So hopefully HBI 2K doesn't take issue with me using it.
Insane Clown Posse says, do you like scan lines? Where lies the importance of scan lines in retro games and new games alike? Do you have a favored video signal, composite, component, RGB, and the like?
Well, since I had to do a little research into that after reading this question, yeah, it probably doesn't mean too much to me. I think they look good on older arcade games, but I don't use them myself. Nor would I really insist on using them. As for favourite video signal, I'm guessing this is more of a retro game thing. I prefer good old SCART, the 21-pin version, not the less nice looking RGB variant. I think a nice SCART still looks good on a modern TV, honestly. I recently got one for my Dreamcast. I had always used composite, and was just blown away by how much better it looked. So yeah, I love SCART. Do people in the US even have SCART?
Dylan the Child Predator says, what are your top 5 favorite anime games and why?
Something tells me your heart's not in this anymore, Gerald. Top 5 anime and why? Well, my first is Cowboy Bebop, mainly because it does a lot of things and does them so perfectly. It's also incredibly rewatchable. Another one of my favourites is Rurouni Kenshin Trust and Betrayal. I read the story it was based on in the manga, and while I felt it was good, this adaptation takes it to the next level. It's easily the best manga adaptation I have ever seen. Everything about it is so hauntingly beautiful. The music, the art direction, the animation, it's just so masterfully done. And next I will go with Nadia, The Secret of Blue Water. This is just such a grand adventure. Don't look up anything about this show and just watch it how I did, being completely surprised by where it goes. The characters are so memorable and lovable, and if you like submarines, well, this show has the most awesome submarine ever. Next is Elfen Lied. I know it's cool to hate on this one, but I still go back and rewatch it every now and then. It's just such a huge emotional impact every time I see it. It's incredibly messed up, but in a good way. For a final one, I guess I'd go with Fate Zero. Fate Zero to me is the only good part of the Fate franchise. Everything else is just kind of meh. But what made this so good was the ensemble of great characters, a badass protagonist, and mature storytelling. The episode The End of Honor has so many cruel plot twists in it, it could give Game of Thrones a run for its money.
Cumshot Memer is back with another question. He says, if you could make your own original anime, what would it be and what studio would you want to animate it? This is for both of you.
Well, I probably wouldn't make my own anime unless I got a really big budget and a lot of talented people involved. People much more talented than I. And at that point, why do I even need to be involved? What I'm saying is, I would never pull Chronexia and the 8 Seals type thing. But if I had to choose, I would hire Studio Ghibli. As for what I would make... Okay, I have no clue. If you asked me this in college, I probably would have had a better answer. What about you, Sachi?
Gainax, swimming with giant robots and big boobies.
Usain Bolt's Gene Reviews asks, off the top of my head, what is your favorite video you've done? What about your least favorite? Have you had any that you really felt proud of that just didn't get much traction once uploaded?
My favourite video of mine is probably the Hoff vs Hitler review. That's where I felt I was at my best with a comedy. It's just such a nonsense video and a nice companion piece to the game itself. I love the idea of reviewing my own game and being extremely biased. As for my least favourite, that's a tough one because I've made a lot of shitty videos. It's probably my first video. I have no idea what I was doing when I made that one. Some of them are better than others. Like, it tells you on the screen which ones are recommended to use. It sounds like I was just making shit up as I went along, but I did actually have a script for that one. The editing was... so messy. I think there's a video I dislike even more than that though, and that's an overview of the Persona series. The voiceover is terrible. I have no idea what I was trying to do in that one. The worst thing is, that's my most viewed video as well. I like some of the editing in it though, it's just that voiceover is so cringy. As for videos I felt proud of that didn't do too well, pretty much all of my newer ones. The Cowboy Bebop videos especially. Please watch them because I was very proud of them, especially part 2.
Somebody with weird symbols in their name said, gotta leave a really intellectual question. Q, fave girl. Also, tits or ass?
Haru and tits.
Well, Snickety, it looks like that's the end of your questions. I hope your Q&A went well, and I hope that I was able to help. But unfortunately, I don't have any more time to spare because as you can see, I have an important business meeting to get to. But I hope the video works out great. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of it. And, alright. I'm done.
Yeah, see you later, Gerald. Thanks for joining me, everyone. It's been fun. I too need to get back to reviewing games and all that jazz. So hopefully these answers have been sufficient. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Your next question is from good old Sneezy, who says, can I have your mic when you die in that unforeseeable, unfortunate skiing accident that's happening in the future?
I don't see why not.